Okay, I have a feeling that something just twitched and we might have lost connection and yeah, we started a new video. That happened to me yesterday when something happened. It cut my first 2 minutes off off the video initially, and then the rest of it was its own separate video. So sorry if I lost you there. Hopefully you're back. We're working on the coloring book, the fantasy themed coloring book, doing the concept sketches for pages 26 and 27, so that we can get started on the actual page art. All right, now there was in this area, oops, that was kind of thick, some sort of a tapestry up here. We haven't really been seeing the top of it in this scene, but we might here. I'm just putting like a line here for a bar. Um, then we can actually keep all of these together at the same height. And there's these rectangle shaped ones that are maybe kind of billowing. So I'll do that. All right. And as we come over to this side of the room, we might even incorporate another pillar, say like right here. And let's see, anything else we might want to put in here. Maybe there should even be some sort of a big doorway over here. Closed down, or with the doors closed. Maybe there's even like a couple of steps that lead up to it. Maybe three, I think, would be good for here. Okay, just adding some more depth and dimension to the room, um, based on stuff that has been in the book so far. I think I might want to put another pillar, like right here, where her leg is, or not where her leg is, but back here behind her just a little bit, just to kind of keep this thing flowing. Maintain some similar elements throughout the picture. Now we've got a whole lot of other characters to cram in here, so I'm going to put, let's see. You know what? I'm going to go ahead and we're going to reference page 25. So let me open up page 25. I only need, is that the, okay, that's my PNG of it. All right. So now we're two up, and of course, my interface there kind of covers a little bit of what's going on over there with the reference image, but we get most of it. What can I do with it? I can zoom it in and just kind of show you around. So we've got pillars, we've got the barbarians, the paladins, the tiefling back there, and the drow, two paladins. There's the goblin wizard. He's being attacked by the bird, and that's a good thing to reference right there because uh, I forgot that I had put the bird back there attacking him. So maybe he's coming down these stairs trying to get away while this bird is pecking at him. And so we might even move the bird over here. And, well, not really. It wouldn't be a thing where it pecks at him so much as like claws at him. So maybe it's kind of sloping in like that. Got its head up here and its wings. something like this. I don't really like the way that looks though. That's kind of funky. Like a rubber chicken with some deformed wings. But that general idea, and we'll fine tune that a little bit later. Let's see. So we have the let's go ahead and start with the two uh we'll start with the two paladins that are fighting, and I'm gonna have them, let's think, right about here. And let's have them, let's see, maybe the Tiefling Paladin has actually scored a good hit on the Drow Paladin. And how do I want to do this? So I'm thinking she had her double balled mace in her hands, and she has kind of done like an uppercut type move with it, and maybe hit the paladin on the shield, but the drow paladin, and kind of knocked her back, staggered her. So we'll get, let me think, her staff. We'll just call it a staff for now. It'd be something like this, and this hand would be out here. That hand would be over there. And let's see, this is, yeah, so what if she were like right here? As she swung that up, her torso would also be twisting back this way, or, twisting downward. That hand was gripping it from the top, so that would be more back, and then coming forward after the elbow. So we'll put that hand there, but just kind of contort things around the best that I can, even while working with this simple of a drawing. You can still do a lot with stuff. So let's see, I kind of want to have this arm is upward and that one is downward. And how does this arm, how does her body move as she's doing this? I think we're gonna crank this arm back some more. Something like that. Kind of feel like maybe this should be even higher, because we do want it to, we want to make it like clear that she lifted this thing up and hit with it. So maybe this hand is actually like more over here. You'll see some of the forearm underneath as we go back in space. And of course, she's going to want to be looking at the hit that she just delivered, making sure that it was a good one, and preparing to follow up that attack. So now she was kind of charging in the last page, but now that she's delivered this attack, I think we want this leg coming out this way and this one dropping back and supporting. And I don't know. I think I got that messed up. That's maybe not the best way to do it. Maybe this leg should be more downward. Just trying to find the balance and what looks like she just delivered this attack in a good, powerful way. Let's see. See, I don't want her to look off balance. Maybe this leg needs to be out to brace. And And this one is actually curved a little too much, making it look weak. It should be out there. I think that's good. All right. And so at this point with the quick sketches that we're doing, it's going to be kind of hard to tell everybody apart. Part of the easiest way I have to identify these characters at this stage is mainly through their weaponry. They all have slightly different stuff, so it's a mix of size and weapon that kind of determines it for me at this point, figuring out who's who and whether or not I missed somebody in my sketch. All right, we got to do this paladin, the drow paladin. So, like I said, this hit was going on. The other paladin, she's probably taking a hit, and her head might be over here because she's kind of reeling down. So, I am thinking that you might see a little bit of her back right here as she's kind of turned away. And I'm doing some extreme contortion right here, which is not going to work out, I don't think. But I want to start with that and find something that looks kind of good along that line. And I apologize if you can't actually understand what I'm drawing right now. It is literally like the shorthand um, of drawing. It's like stick figures with a little bit of form, and it is. I didn't want to do this on the live stream, but this is the only time that I have to draw. So uh, when so I wanted to do it like as a separate thing, and I can't. So this is what I have to broadcast or not broadcast at all. So I'm working on trying to get this paladin's general shape to come together. I think we've got it here mostly. So I'm going to put her sword arm up in the air like this. Even though she did just take this hit and is going to be reeling from it, we don't want her to be like completely incapacitated. So she might very well be preparing to come back in with a strike of her own. And so I'm going to put this blade up here. This paladin has a very long, thin blade. It's kind of like a rapier, but it has a huge sun hilt on it. And again, right here, I've got her like completely twisted around. So her forward torso is literally like facing, pretty much facing behind her. And that's not going to work that way. We got to adjust. Otherwise, she would have been snapped in half along her spine. And that's not very conductive towards completing the battle successfully. Let's move this leg over here. Put it down. The other one could still be back here. And what am I looking at right there? Now her left arm is coming down right here. This arm holds the shield, which is where she took that hit. And so she is just a little bit knocked over. Now, something that's going on right here is that she's looking a lot shorter than the Tiefling Paladin, but they are the same height. So we'll have to fix that later on. I don't want to do it right here just because everything's so small, it's going to be hard to straighten it all out. But I do think what I want to do is actually take them and move them a little bit deeper back into the scene. So we'll move them up a little bit higher, and a little bit further back. Bring them in closer to that goblin wizard back there. Now I have also, there we go. In the earlier scene, that Drow Paladin had shoved her shield into the human barbarian that's in the bad guy party, and he was kind of knocked back. Now he should be coming back into the fray. And I'm thinking he might be making some sort of a slice attack at the paladin that just barely missed because of the attack from the other paladin. So I'm going to put him, say, like right here. Huh. I don't like that. That's too straight on. So I'm undoing. Think. In fact, maybe he hasn't actually delivered that blow yet. Maybe he's kind of right here. Got his power stance going. Or at least some of one. I don't want him to be quite like super like an A pose. I just want to get him some of that shoulder here, coming back. He's all choked up on his sword, and his sword's going up right there. So he might be preparing like to strike her in the back even, because it might not be a well, I mean, they're bad guys. It would not be out of character for them to hit you in the back, and like dishonorable type thing. Although not all bad guys are the same. Some of them would frown upon that. Okay, so we're getting there. We got some stuff going on here. Got our scene starting to take shape. It's looking like a continuation of the battle. And now I think what I'm going to do is now in the last page, the human wizard, he's one of the good guys. He was over here torching skeletons with magic, like magic fire, magic projectiles, and now I think he should turn his attention to the other wizard. So that might be something else that's going on here. We can have a little bit of a power struggle here where that wizard is actually trying to battle off the human wizard. And I'm going to put the human wizard's head like way up here because he is 7 heads tall. He's the tallest character in this whole battle. And now he's had some pretty cool poses and stuff throughout the last few pages. Basically got to show off his abilities. So this might not be that much of a show off scene for him, but I do want to have, yeah, maybe bring that over there. So I'm thinking some sort of energy struggle thing between the two of them. And since I can't really see a whole lot at this stage, I'm just going to give him his tall, pointy hat. That should help me remember who he is when we get through some of the other stuff. And let's see. I'm going to make this circle between them kind of dark. Just for now. Alright. Now, we have still several more characters. We've got the Barbarian, we got the two Paladins, we've got the Goblin Wizard, we have the Human Wizard, we've got the Elf Cleric. Now we have the Gnome Barbarian, the Goblin Barbarian, the Dwarf Rogue or Dwarf Ranger, and the Dwarf Fighter, who all kind of are engaged in battle together, but now we're going to split them off into groups. So I'm going to have, at this point, I think I'm going to put the Ranger and the Gnome together, and the Goblin with the Fighter. So let me think how I want to lay this out. Again, we want to try to avoid putting anything right along that center line. Anything important anyway. So you don't want to have a character in there where half their face might get wiped out or something. If they are going to be there, they should be reaching across somewhat. So let's go ahead and try. I'm gonna put the fighter and the what did I say? The fighter and the goblin. They're gonna be over here. So I think about my fighter. How do I want to do him? Now he has his sword in his left hand, uh, where most of the characters will have their weapons in their right hands. As well as little things that makes it, it's like a different thing for the character. And let's see, I'm gonna put his arm up and coming back. And he's got his sword. That's too much actually. And I don't know if I want that exactly. I do want him to be like swinging the sword. You know what? Let's put it. Yes, I am. And this arm might just be helping to offset his balance. Try to keep himself balanced while he's swinging. And let's see, his face would be over this way. And how, okay, so if he's actually swinging, I didn't quite do this very well, I think. You know what, let's put this right here and make the blade come out like that. Maybe. That should be a little bit more like he's in. It's a little bit more like he's engaged, but it's also kind of static. It's not quite as dynamic as I want it to look. What else can we do with them to make this look better? I mean, you could put a swoosh on it, and that would make it, that would help a little bit, but I think we need just something a little bit better here. So, let me go ahead and take his head out. We'll try to stay kind of loose here. What if he's actually downward? He's got that, like the sword's coming forward past his body, like he's already completed the swing. And this arm is actually back here. Something like this. And then, but he's still like trying to look that way. Even though he's like already turning the opposite direction here. All right. And then that would leave let's see. So his torso's turning this way because he swung, but his hips would still probably be a little bit further back because they held him steady while he swung his upper torso. This leg might be kind of out like this. And this one might be over here. And this one could even be loose a little bit because he might be beginning to change his stance, letting that leg come up as he swings around. And so maybe this should even be tighter into the body right here. So we can redo that again. Oh, actually, bring it into the body where it would be like he's already made the stroke is where we're at, but I can maybe have him holding it right here, sword out here. Now it's too stiff still. And of course it's difficult to sketch right here. Got too much stuff going on already. So we'll have that little bit of bend in there, like he's already made the stroke. And oh, and I've got his hand turned essentially the wrong way. That's what's going on too. So let's have the hand is out here. He's actually like palm up with the blade. And let's see. Okay, so that was better. The palm up is right, but having it out there, it just looks like he's holding it again. So let's see. Maybe put it down here so it's pretty much like right at his leg. Yeah, there we go. Might look a little bit 18 plus, but that's not what it is. All right, so we'll fix that for sure later on. But yeah, by having this arm coming in across the torso with the blade, that makes it more look a little bit more like he's actually made the swing and is in motion. This arm could actually go a bit further back than what I've got it there, and I can just kind of tweak this. It's all scribbles now, so little tweaks. All right, and so then we've got the Goblin Barbarian, who is actually a little bit shorter, who might be right here. He might be like going face to face with this guy, snarling and freaking out. Now he's got an axe, which he also had in the last scene. He had it like cranked up, ready to go. Um, this time around, maybe with even with this swing, maybe he's got it caught on his axe. So they might be actually locked in their little battle here. And let's see how this works. So he'd have two hands on his axe. And again, yeah, it's all messy right now, but we will get this sorted out and then make it look nice in the end. So just thinking about how his little goblin body works in this pose. In fact, if he's like this, how did I... Oh, okay. I reversed his hands, but let me see. This hand should probably be more over here. And this hand would be here. Just think about how everything interacts right now. And of course, it is all just scribbles and hard to understand it all. But I hope some of it's at least carrying through. And if you're here with me while I describe it, I hope it's making sense. Let's see. Trying to figure out how he is holding, like how his body's forming around this particular maneuver. So I'm just thinking here, where did I go? Some of it is very hard to decipher, especially at this little size. So I'm going to try to fill that in with black. So now you should see like the axe head kind of in there. And thinking the way he's holding this defense. I think I actually want this leg to be out here. And of course, he's got to be standing at like the same height as the dwarf. And this leg could be even kind of like weak looking, holding, trying to reinforce his position, but not having the strength to do it. I think that's pretty decent. And we'll sort that out again, like I said, once we get to the actual drawing phase for the whole page. So that takes them, puts them into the equation. Now we've got the female dwarf ranger and the gnome barbarian. So let's see, how do I want to have them interacting here? What would be a good fit for them? He's got that huge, huge sword. It's bigger than he is. And she has a bow and a little short sword that's little more than a dagger, really. And let's see, so you know what? I think we're going to distance them. That's what we're going to do. And maybe this will be cool. Maybe it'll be garbage. Let's see what happens. So I'm thinking we put this gnome barbarian over here. I'm putting his head right around where the drow paladin's foot is there. Yeah, he's kind of straight on to us as far as his pose. But he's going to be in this crouch stance with, let's see, how do we want to make him crouching? Okay. Oh, okay. Okay. I think I'll put this leg forward while the other leg is more back, maybe down and back. So he might actually be going kind of like this, and I can already tell his proportions are going a little crazy on me here. Like, he's only 4 heads tall. I'm pretty sure I'm making him taller than that right now, but again, we'll fix that in a little bit. Now, what I'm thinking is this arm is coming across the body to the sword. Yeah, and then the other arm is down here, also at the sword. Put the sword right here, and I don't think it's long enough that it'll go all the way across the seam of the page, or the the spine there. But that's kind of the idea. That way, if it does go that far, it's one more thing to help tie everything together. Excuse me. I didn't mention it earlier. I did start the stream a few minutes late today. That was because I ate dinner before I got started, and of course, now, uh, my stomach's a little upset, and doing that thing. All right. So now what we have left is the Dwarf Ranger. And I'm thinking I wanted to distance these two because he's got that long blade, and maybe she's just back here hanging out with the with the cleric, but also using her bow. And I need to reference, so I'm going to close that page down. I need to see, based on some of the other stuff I've done, I'm pretty sure I've had her draw the bow before. Flicking through the pages. It looks like I might only have ever had her actually draw the bow on like page 23 or 20. Okay, so it's all going to be in pencils. On 21, she does have it. On 22, it's the wizard. 23, I think she had it put away, right? Yeah, it was put away. Okay. So, back to, what was that, page 21. Alright. So now, let me go back to my view again. There we go. So she's doing that. She holds the bow with her right hand and draws with her left. And let's see. I don't really want to do a shot of her like from her back, but okay. What if she doesn't actually have it drawn? So let's just put her here. Maybe she's in the process of getting it ready. And let's see. don't like how absolutely close. Alright, hold on a second. Alright, so somebody agitated the dog, and of course he had to bark at everything. And he'll probably be back to bark a little bit more. Alright, so I'm getting kind of close with her to the, what do you call it, to the spine. Let's go ahead and shrink her down just a little bit. So I'm going to have her kind of back in the background a little bit more. And let's see here. So, wait a minute. Yeah, so she holds the bow with her right hand, which is this side, if that's the front. And let's see here. So I'll put her like this. She'll have her bow here in her hand. This leg is over here. This leg is over here. So she's like twisting. And this hand is like over here to grab the bow. So she's like the only one that's not actually engaged in combat with her opponent at the moment. Alright. So that's all the characters, right? We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. So, yep, that's all 10 characters that I mentioned in the beginning. And now we need skeletons. Because this little bastard back here, he is raising a skeleton army. I'm going to put some circles on the ground here. These little dark circles. This is where I'm going to have skeletons popping up out of the ground or even in the scene. And maybe his reach has been... Maybe that door isn't closed. Maybe there are more skeletons coming through this doorway. I'm just scribbling stuff right now. Maybe there's even more skeletons coming down the stairs. And they could even be, instead of skeletons, some of them could even be zombies. Add some mixtures here. So we've got like broken up ground here, chunks of tile, debris. Just a scribbly mess. Alright, one over here. And then in the last page, page 25, we did have some skeletons that were destroyed. So I'm going to pull that page open again. Go back to side by side. Alright, so in page 25, there is a skeleton that got decimated back there near the stairs. There's one getting decimated down here. So we can kind of take that general position and say that this one that just got decimated was like right over here. I can maybe leave, his bones here, like his rib cage. He had a some sort of a scimitar. We might even just leave that right here on the ground. Little details like that can help with the continuity of the page. And then, let's see, there could be a skull back here, maybe some more bone fragments. That one that was back there, like, absolutely got annihilated. But then we might also have more skeletons that are just lumbering out of these holes, coming up to join in the fray. And of course, they don't have to all be complete skeletons either. They can be partial. Some of them can be like pulling themselves up. Um, Maybe one or two is actually up, ready to come into the battle completely. This one could even just be, because of where it's at, I think I want to just have a head popping up out of there, almost like a little groundhog or what's that game? Is that Weasel or whatever? Yeah, whatever. That one where you smash the weasel things with the hammer. Let's see. Over here, I'm gonna have this one actually climbing out. So hips here, maybe an upper leg, knee. The other leg might be dropping back down in there. This arm forward, this arm forward, just trying to get out of there. And yeah, again, I think I'm going to have zombies like pouring through that. And let's see. So yeah, we've got this whole scene laid out. And of course, it's a bit heavier looking over here on the right as opposed to the left. I mean, I could theoretically move some of that. I think we might want to actually. Let's take our gnome barbarian, and we're gonna slide him over here towards the center. I don't want to take him too far. I want to keep him kind of close there. And then I might even take the ranger and take her just a little bit closer too. So now they're a little bit more helping to balance the page. And we could maybe take, yeah, I don't want to grab anything else because the other stuff is literally just scribbles on top of scribbles. But I could maybe have like a skeleton warrior here. And maybe he's even coming out with a weapon, ready to get somebody with it. Like maybe it's a pickaxe, yeah. It's Minecraft Steve coming up out of the ground for some undead revenge. Yeah, not really, but let's see. Maybe another skull over here. Kind of like the comedy of having someone coming up in the middle of this battle just looking around and not knowing what's going on. I think that would be kind of funny. Oh, and I feel like just one more right here. I don't even know what I'm doing at this point. I'm scribbling circles. That's what I'm doing. All right. I think we've got a concept here that's worthwhile. I think it's laid out half decent, has some flow to it. It's going to go across both these pages. And Yeah. If anything, I think maybe I can cram or get these characters to take up a little bit more of the space and reduce the background some. So we'll close that page. Don't want to save anything on it. And what I'm gonna do here is okay. So what we've got going on is that yeah, this is literally just meant to be as big as 2 pages. So we're gonna select this area and just make it the whole thing. I'm gonna copy it and then paste it in place on a new layer. Take it right about there. Alrighty. Just, so it's not entirely accurate here, but it's close. Now we're gonna go ahead and turn off. Oops, that other stuff. Okay, now on my layout for this, yeah, we're just gonna take this one. There we go. Now we can see what's going on. And so we've got this whole page of stuff going on here, and yeah, I'm thinking the actual page, the center should be, oops, I'm on white, not black. That should be about where the split is. Actually, me, this is 0 to 17, so it should be 8.5. Okay, so the split should be over here, which means my whole drawing is a little off as far as where I thought the center line was going to be when I did the little sketch. Because remember, I wanted this pillar to kind of be like on equal sides of the pages. So we need to make a little adjustment. Let me go ahead and just put a guide right there. Do I have guides on this at all? I probably do. Looks like it. Let me undo. Undo. All right. Okay. Okay, so I have that guide. Then I can just take my drawing and shift it over to about there. And if since I was going to lose some stuff there, I just slide it in. I'm not overly concerned with the proportions of everybody just yet. But yeah, I like how this is looking in general. And let's see. What if... See, I kind of want to move that. What's going to happen when I do this? Oh, okay. We'll do that. That's right there. Okay. So I think that's going to be it for today's session. I just kind of did this. I got a lot of work still to do, but we're going to do that tomorrow. Um, we're going to start working through all of these characters and putting them in. actually, the one thing I will do is before I quit, I'm gonna set up the uh, the measurements so we can start putting everything in the scale. So we're gonna go with a new layer. I'm gonna go ahead and take that sketch that we just did and stretched out. We're gonna take that down to 40%. So it's still there, but it's not super dark anymore. Now, what I'm going to do is just draw a mark here and a mark here. So this represents one head height for my for my elf cleric. We're going to go ahead and stretch or duplicate it. Now we got 2. Now we got 3, 4, 5, and 6. And I can bring that together. So I'm going to call this one 6 heads. And so that gives me what her actual height should be if she's right here. So as you can see, I made her just a little bit tall. No big deal. But now what we're going to do is say anybody that's on this particular line should be the same, like their head should be the same size. Well, my fighter should probably be, looking at the way that I was doing this, the fighter should be probably a little higher up, and the goblin should be a little lower down. So let's go ahead and duplicate this again. But we want to work with, is it this one? Yeah. All right, so I'm going to name these. So my first one was 6 heads. Well, you can't see my file name or my layer names. I have that off the canvas, but so the one that I've got for that, I'm going to call that Elf Cleric. That way I can select these and know who I'm getting to. This one that I just turned on and off, that is the Dwarf Fighter. And the Dwarf Fighter is 4 heads tall. So I've got 2 heads too many here. Alright. So that takes him, he's got 4 heads there. And what I'm going to do here is actually, let's see. He should be, I'm going to put him right about this height. And I'm going to make him just a bit smaller. That should be plenty. And there is something, like right up here, that was affecting. Yeah, that's better. Okay. Now, I made him a little bit smaller because he's just slightly further back in perspective than what the elf cleric is. And you can see that when we look at this. You see how if I line up one of those heads, his head here is just a little bit shorter. If I line up the next one, same thing, all the way down. Well, we're going to do the same thing with the Goblin Barbarian, except I'm going to bring him down here between these 2 lines, and I'm going to make him just a little bit bigger. That should be plenty. Okay. And so that just brings him a little bit closer to us in perspective. The Goblin Barbarian, unlike the Dwarf Fighter, is actually only 3 heads tall. So 1, 2, 3. We gotta get rid of all of his stuff right there. So even though he's closer in perspective, he's actually still shorter. Now I'm gonna make that Goblin Barbarian. And I'm going to go back to my dwarf fighter, and I'm going to use him as a reference for the goblin, or the gnome barbarian. So I'm going to rename this one to, no, actually, first I'm going to do the dwarf ranger, because she is closer in perspective. In fact, if I leave her right there, she is on the same level as the dwarf fighter, and I drew her too small. So let's do that. I like that. I want her right there. Then we're gonna come back to the goblin, or the gnome barbarian. So I'm gonna change his layer name. He's also 4 heads tall. Gnome barbarian. And what I'm gonna do with him is keep him right about there on the height that he was, but I'm gonna tweak his height down just a little bit. That should be plenty. And just to show you that, now he's like a quarter of a head shorter, or his heads are a quarter of a head shorter than the dwarf ranger there. Now we're going to go back in distance some more, because the next character we care about is the drow paladin. So I'm going to take this gnome barbarian, bring him up to here, duplicate him again, so now I'm going to be dealing with a total of 8 heads, because I needed some more heads to measure the drow paladin. She has 6 heads again, like the elf cleric. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And so we don't need these 2 at all. And let's go ahead and take this to the actual base height where I've got her feet. And I'm going to shrink this down to about, see, we got to go, if I go all the way down to where she's at there, that's really small. Let's take it to about here. That should be enough to give us some distance, taking these fighters to the rear. This is the drow paladin. Now that human fighter back there, or the human barbarian back there, he's the same height. But same deal. He's a little further back. We'll shrink him down just a bit. And I'll go name this one Barbarian. Then we'll do it again from the Drow Paladin, or the Drow Paladin. We will drag that over here. Take it up to that. And shrink it down just a touch. So that should be less shrinkage than what we've got there. I think so. Yeah. So the Tiefling Paladin's heads are slightly bigger than the male barbarian's heads, because she's closer in perspective than he is. Alright, we are getting close. So now we're going to go back here to the human wizard. Now, I think I mentioned earlier, the human wizard is the tallest of the characters, because he actually is 7 heads tall. So we're going to need to make one more head for him. So let's just expand that there. Right there. So now he is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 heads tall. And he's a little bit more further back in perspective than the Tiefling Paladin. We'll shrink him down about so much. So now his heads, when we just compare them, should be, they are slightly smaller than that Barbarian. I think we might want to take him down just a little bit more. So that one, he's coming into being almost the actual height that I gave him, even though that includes that big pointy hat. Now, we got one more here after I name that. That is the human wizard. And the last one is going to be the goblin wizard. Let me name this one. And he is 4 heads tall, like most of the other short characters. Only the other goblin is shorter than him. And why a goblin barbarian is shorter than a goblin wizard? Yeah, it's interesting. So we're going to go with 4 heads. Just clear that off. That's 1, 2, 3, 4. And clear these out. And there he is. Now he is, of course, further back in perspective than the wizard. So he should also be a little bit reduced in size. In fact, it looks like he's pretty well in perspective, or in proportion. 2, 3, and 4. And of course, his heads are, yep, a little bit smaller than the wizards. There we go. So now I've got these grid lines all set up, or these head measurements, so that we can start laying things out, putting all these characters in. And I didn't do any for the skeletons. I will probably basically just use an approximation of the head size of the characters around them when I get to that point. But that's going to be tomorrow. We're going to go ahead and start sketching this in. And I think that this time around, what we're going to do, we're going to start up here with the cleric, who, I don't know, I might want to make her, in fact, let me take her size here. And make it so that she actually does go all the way down to about there. And maybe up to there. There we go. So she's about the right size as her scale. If I want to bring her closer into the foreground, I can make her even bigger. But if I can draw her there, get her sketched in, then stretch her where she's going off the page or whatever, I can, use that to keep it looking like she's still in, like she still belongs with the scene, even though she's going outside of it. And yeah, that's going to be it for today. We will start with that cleric tomorrow. And we'll try to get through this page this week. Hopefully by this weekend we'll have the pencils all done on this page. Well, on these 2 pages even, and move on to page 28, which I'm going to have to rewrite because, like I said, I'm going to have here the magic from the cleric is going to be annihilating all of these skeletons. Or maybe, yeah, I think that's what we're going to do. And then I'll just add a different page because we've already been like 3 or 4 pages in this battle, which is kind of much. It's time to wrap it all up and move on to the end of the book. And again, The book is only meant to be like 32 pages long. We're just now starting on 26 and 27. So once we finish these, that leaves me 5 more pages of art to complete for the book, and then do a cover. So yeah, we're getting close to the end. Uh, Thanks for coming to watch. Hope you've enjoyed the hope you've enjoyed the live stream. Uh, and if you happen to be watching this on my YouTube channel, please like and subscribe to that channel, and come back to Twitch to join me live and chat. So I'm not just talking to myself for 2 hours, talking about all my characters and exploring the depths of my dementia. But yeah, that's it for today. So have a great one.